Don't be a drag, just be a queen or a king or whatever you want to be. Hey there, and happy Pride Month. Welcome to the Totally Fierce Crochet channel. My name's Thomas. Holly is somewhere down here. Miss Grumpy is tired. So Daddy has to work. Now, some of you might have wondered what I would do with those two big Rainbow Pride granny squares. And of course, the guy who already has like 100 bags has to make another one, this time in a smaller format, so I can take it with me everywhere, especially to all the Pride events this summer. So my hands are free to go up in the air and to party and shake my body, to celebrate life and to celebrate our freedom. And if you want to know how to make such a beautiful, seamless, multicolored granny square, make sure to check my previous video where I show you step by step how to make it, and you get such a beautiful granny square. And once you have it, come back to this video and make yourself such a cute bag. It has the perfect size. You can put your wallet in, your keys, your phone, all in the same place, and you keep it safe. You even have a little lock on top. In addition, this is another mixed project, which means that I combine traditional crochet but also incorporate elements of Tunisian crochet. For example, the sides and the strap is done in the Tunisian double stitch. Don't be scared if you don't know Tunisian crochet. You will see that mixing those two techniques together works just perfectly, and you get such a beautiful structure like we have it here for the strap. Super soft. And of course, before we start, just take a sec, like this video, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of the future episodes. And who knows, there might be some more Pride projects coming. So now I will show you in detail how to assemble the two gorgeous rainbow granny squares into a beautiful and super cute Pride bag. And to give you a better idea on what we're doing in this tutorial, I made myself a little swatch. Interestingly, in the end, it worked perfectly fine for my microphone case. And now I have a crochet microphone case. I used the squares from my top 3 tips tutorial, and just chose 2 random colors that I found in my stash to see how everything would work. It's always good to make yourself a little swatch when you're unsure and when it's something that you haven't done before, just so you get an idea how it would look like, how the dimensions would be. And this is what I did here. So what we are going to start with is a border around our rainbow granny squares. For that, I'm going to use the purple color, mainly because we started with the purple, and I think it would like close everything off quite nicely when we then do also the final border in the purple color. And later on for the side part here, which will then also go over to the strap, I'm going to use a very soft light gray yarn. It's also from Hobbii. It's also Friends Cotton, and all the materials are again linked in the description below. But to be honest, you can use any kind of color. You don't have to do a multicolor granny square. You can also do a regular one with just one color or 3 colors. It's completely up to you. I just thought that having all this dramatic, very colorful, very lively look and feel for the front and the back of my little Pride bag, I needed something to balance it out a little bit and to tone it down a little bit. So that's why I'm going for the light gray for the sides and the strap. And here you can also see that I incorporated a little button. I got a package of those from Hobbii as well. So I'm going to incorporate them in the work directly so that later on you can even open and close the bag, just so that things don't fall out and you can keep things in there. It's not like a total closure like a zipper would be, but definitely a little something that gives it a little bit of extra. And we wouldn't need anything more extra than those granny squares, to be honest. But it's a nice little touch. And it's actually also my very first project where I incorporate something like this. So I'm excited to do so. Then, of course, you need the crochet hook, 4 millimeters, just as indicated in the back of our yarn. And then, of course, the yarn needle to sew in ends. And obviously some scissors to cut the yarn off. All right, so we are going to start with making the frame, basically. So we start with the first granny square. Unfortunately, we have to do this for both. If you haven't already made them, you can already incorporate this last color in the previous tutorial where I showed you how to make the multicolor granny squares. So you don't have to cut things off first and then start with the new color. In my case, since I already finished the multicolored ones, I'm going to just add the purple color now to make my border. What we are going to do is that we are taking a look at the last cluster of 3 granny squares here. And over here we had our chain 2 for the corner. So we are going to start in the first stitch here of the cluster. And what we are going to do is that we are only going to work in the front loops. So you always have 2, the front loop and the back loop. And for our border, we only take the front loop. This later on gives us the effect, like I had it here, that it goes a bit to the front to create this beautiful, easy border around your work, and still leaves us the back loop later on to finish the side. So we go in the front loop, we take the purple yarn in my case, or whatever yarn you're using, you pull it over the hook and pull it through the stitch here. And what I'm doing right now is that I'm taking my yarn end, pull it a little bit in front of my work, because then we can go directly into the next stitch in the front loop, keep the yarn end over our work, grab the yarn from the back, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through to create the first single crochet. And we do this all along. Single crochet only in the front loop, carrying that yarn end with us. And I meet you at the first corner, because there we will do things a little differently. So I'll meet you there. So here we are, I reached the corner, and when you do the granny square, of course, each corner is a chain of 2, and to keep the rounded shape here, we are going to increase each of these 2 stitches by 1. So we are going to make 2 single crochets in each of those stitches. And this goes as follows. You go into the front loop again, grab the yarn, pull it through, make the first single crochet, then go back into that same front loop, grab the yarn, pull it through, and single crochet. And now you have 2 single crochets in that same chain stitch from the corner, and the same we are going to do with the next one. My yarn is a bit tangled. So this was the first one, and then we go in there and make another one, and like that we get a pretty corner. Okay, we are good to go to the rest. I will meet you when we are back at the top of our bag to then either make the button or the chain that later on holds the button. So see you then. So here we are. I'm basically at the center of the top of my bag, and with this color changing granny square, it's actually quite easy to find the center of one side, because I always have to stick to this very first cluster here and then go up to find myself directly in the center between those two clusters. And now we just make the chain first, and for the next granny square at the same position I will add then the button, and you make your single crochets right until you reach the end of this cluster here, and then you chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Of course, you can make it longer. It really depends later on how wide your bag will be. And then we are going in the next stitch and work our next single crochet already in there. And here you have your little chain to later put the button through, and the rest is the same. So for this last corner again, we increase each of the 2 stitches by 1. And here we had our first stitch right here. And what we are going to do is that we are already going to make a invisible join. So when you have your last stitch in there, you pull the yarn through, grab your yarn needle, and we do as we did before. We skip this first stitch right here, go into the next one, go from the front to the back, and then we take our yarn needle again from the top into that back loop to close it. And here we go. And now we can just hide it in there all along. Say, and you can also go directly under those yarn strands from your single crochets. This is where we basically also incorporate the end yarn, and like that it's in there. I will go back a few rounds just to make sure that everything is secure And of course I'm trying to push through the yarn so that everything is completely safe. And I can cut the yarn. And our first border version is done, and we have our little hanger here on top. Again, if you want to have a bigger one, just chain a few more. It's normal that the corners like go up a little bit because of the tension, but I don't mind at all because this gives it more of a 3D look, just like I had it here. And later on makes it also easier to stand. And for the next part, we are going to go in all those back loops to create the depth of our bag. But first of all, there's one more to frame basically. So let's frame this. I will meet you when I'm up here in the center to then incorporate the wooden button right here, and have fun, and I'll see you then. Welcome back. I made it right to the center of the front panel of my bag, and I already made my third single crochet on top of that previous cluster. And now we want to add a button like this, and we do that the following way. You push the yarn out a little bit. I mean, you have to think about it's about then later on half of the size. Then we leave it. Then we take our yarn needle, pull it through one of the holes from the button, get that loop that we just pushed out, and pull it through the button. And then we go into the next buttonhole, put the yarn needle in, so you can grab that small piece of end yarn here and pull it through, so you have it on your hook, on your button. And now we are going to like just measure it out a little bit so that the height and everything is all right. And what I do now is that I'm trying to get back into that loop here, right there. Grab the loop and pull it through both of them to secure everything. And then I can continue directly with my next single crochet. And once I have that, I'm going to just drag it a little bit. And here we go. It's connected to your work. And you can just finish the round like we did it with the previous rainbow granny square. And I'll meet you once you have it. So both of my granny squares are now framed with the purple color. One of them has the bottom, the other one has the hole. So later on, when we then have them together, you can simply close the bag here on top And we are also done with the purple color, because now we are moving on with our sides. Initially, I had planned to make the sides like I did it here, with this double crochet. Basically, it's like one double crochet from one side and then starting the next one already from the other side and then making them both together. And this worked pretty well, and it looked very nice, to be honest. But once it was done and I put some things in there that were a bit heavier, like my wallet or my phone, I didn't really like it. I didn't feel it. So I ripped it off and found another way to make the sides and to make it a bit more durable, because our bag is a bit bigger. So I go back to mixing techniques that some people probably wouldn't mix together, but I don't care. I always mix things that work for me. So what we're going to do is to connect these two squares with Tunisian crochet, actually. And for that, we keep our 4mm hook size, but I'm going to switch to a straight hook instead. Because here I only have like a very small space, and since you probably know, for Tunisian crochet, where you keep the loops on your hook all the time, basically, and go forward and backward, this wouldn't be enough. I will make the sides only with 6 stitches in each row, but it's always good to have a bit more space. That's why I'm going to switch to a straight crochet hook. If you don't have a straight crochet hook, of course, you can do it with this. It will probably be a bit trickier then, but I'm quite sure you have a straight hook like this to work on. And what we are going to do is that we are going to work in those back loops from the blue from the blue round. The purple border we put in the front loops, so now we can easily work in those back loops, like you can see them here. And we are going to start here from the top and go down, then over to the bottom of the bag, and then we can then connect both sides here. And then we can immediately also start with the strap. So I'll show you how to do that. We now switch to the gray yarn, the light gray yarn, or whatever yarn you want to use. And we are going to start with a foundation round, basically. Of course, this in the end, where we then connect the end of the strap, will create a little border, but I can totally live with that. If you're familiar with everything, you could also start in the center, for example, of the bottom of the bag and then go around. But I think it's easier to, when the strap is the last thing that you finish, because this is something that is very individual. Each one has a different preferred length of a strap. So it's good to make the strap in the very end, so you can attach it to your size easily. And once you have your size, then you just connect it to the beginning and you're good to go. So we start with a foundation round. And we have our slip knot as a starting point. We have the end yarn here and the yarn that goes to your yarn ball on the other side. We are first going to place the end yarn over the hook. So we yarn over from the front to the right in between. And then we take our yarn that goes to the yarn ball and yarn over. And this last loop here, we are now going to pull through the other two and we created our first foundation stitch. I'll show it again. Yarn over from the front, yarn over from the back, always alternating the yarns, and pull the yarn through. Now you have 2 stitches, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6. So now we have 6 stitches. Basically, those 6 stitches also are equal to like 2 of our segments. Let's just make 2 more so that it's a bit wider. So we have 8. We can then always check, will this be too much for the side? Let's go with 7. 7 is a lucky number for so many people, so let's just go with 7. And now we are going to turn our work, because now we are going to work in those stitches, all 7 of them. Okay, so now we want to connect our foundation round to our granny squares, and we will do that in those back loops here, and in every second of them we are going to connect it to our Tunisian crochet. I know it sounds challenging, but once you have made a few rounds, it's actually quite easy, and like that you can easily connect both of the squares together. So we start in each square here in our last cluster, in the last back loop. In my case, it was the blue one. In the front loop, we made the purple, and we always go in there from the top on both sides later on. And what we are going to do is that we grab the yarn, pull it through, make sure that it's not too loose, and pull it through the remaining loop on the hook to connect your first square. And then what we are going to do is we yarn over, go in the next stitch, grab the yarn, pull it through, and then yarn over again and pull through 2. So very similar to the regular double crochet. And we do this all along in each of the next stitches, while always keeping the last loop on our hook, because this is Tunisian crochet, you always keep the loops on the hook. This was the next one, yarn over, go in the next stitch, grab the yarn, pull it through, yarn over, and pull through 2, 4, 5, 6, and the last one, which is always a bit fiddly to get. Here we go. And yarn over and pull through 2. So now we have all our Tunisian double stitches right here. And now we go to the next granny square, and we watch out again for that first back loop, which is right here. And I'm just going to place my yarn a little bit in between, because again we go from the top in there. So here we have our back loops, 1, 2, and the third one is right here. You can move your work a little bit. The beginning is always a bit tricky, and then we go in there from the top, grab the yarn, pull it through, and now we only go like we did it on the other side through one of the loops to close basically, or to attach the second square to our foundation round. And then we can go back and we do this as we always do in Tunisian crochet. We yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, through 2, through 2, and we are basically back at the beginning. And then we can go directly into the next stitch. And as I mentioned before, we are always going to skip one. So here's the next one, and here's the one that we need. So you go in there from the top, grab the yarn, pull it through, and basically make a slip stitch first. And then we have our 6 Tunisian double stitches. We yarn over, then we go in that front bar. As you can see, you have like all these front bars right here. You go in there from one side, grab the yarn, pull it through, and then yarn over and pull through 2. And again in the next one, pull the yarn through, yarn over and pull through 2. Now we have 4. 5. 6th, and the 7th. We take the bar that's a bit here. It should be a bit tighter to go in, because this was our connecting loop. Yarn over and pull it through. And here we have our 7 loops again on the hook. And then here's the next one. Here's the one right after. We go in there from the top, grab the yarn, pull it through, and make a slip stitch in the last stitch. And then we go back, you yarn over, pull through 2, all the way until you reach the beginning. And I think you can already see that we get such a nice, more woven structure, which looks a bit different than the regular crochet, but it blends in beautifully within our granny square, and it creates this super cute texture inside, which will then later on also have the same look for our strap. I will make one more round with you. So we're at the beginning, we are skipping one, and then go directly into the next blue bag loop, grab the yarn, pull it through, and slip stitch, and then we yarn over and make our Tunisian doubles. All the way. And that last one, here you have the front bar. Go in there. Here we go. And pull it through. This was number 7. And then again, we twist our work a little bit. Here's the next one. Here's the one that we want. Go in there, grab the yarn, pull it through, and slip stitch to close the round. And then we yarn over and go back the usual way. We always yarn over and pull through 2 until we reach the beginning. Here we go. And here you see the structure a bit more. I think it's super pretty and it works perfectly for this project. And the stretchiness is still there, mostly towards the sides, but vertically this gives a bit more strength. So later on the bag will keep its structure and shape. So this is where I leave you. You go around. You go around your squares, connect the bottoms, all in the same go. And I will meet you once you reach that last cluster right here at the top, because then I'm going to show you how to continue in one go to the strap with the same Tunisian crochet texture all the way to finish your strap. And I'll see you then. So here we go. I reached the end. It should now look a little bit like this. I think it's just super pretty. And now, when you reach the end, I would basically need one more in here, and I'm going to do that, even though then I'm beyond that last segment, but that's all right. So I'm doing a last round where I connect the two squares together. And from there I can show you how to start with the strap. And where is it? Here is it. Okay, that was the connecting. And now we continue with the strap, and it's actually very easy. We chain one, and then we do our Tunisian doubles. Just like this, and then we yarn over, pull through one, yarn over, pull through two, and now you already have the first part of your strap. So again, we chain one, we make the next doubles, two, three, four, five, and then for the last one, we yarn over, and then we go through both of the loops so that we get a clean border on the side. And here we go. And again, we yarn over and pull through one, yarn over and pull through two. I'll show you one more, and then it's up to you to make the strap as long as you wish. So we chain 1, yarn over, make your first double, yarn over, pull through 2, second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. Now you have 6. Then you yarn over and you go through all 2 loops on the side to finish the round, and then yarn over, pull through 1, and yarn over and pull through 2 all the way until you reach the end. So make the strap as long as you wish. Always check if it's too long, or don't make it too long because it will stretch out a little bit in the end. So just keep that in mind. And I'll meet you once I have the strap length that I want for myself, and then I'll show you how to connect it back to the beginning. So see you then. Here we go. I reached the final length of my strap, and it looks so beautiful on both sides. Actually, the back side even looks even more like double crochets, and it's super soft. I might use this pattern for something else. It's super soft, and now we can finish it off and then attach it to the other side. And to do that, for Tunisian crochet, we chain 1, and then we go into the next bar, yarn over, pull it through, and then we slip stitch to close it. Again, you go in the front bar, you yarn over, pull the yarn through, and slip stitch to finish. And we do this right until we reach the end of our strap. And for the last one, we always again go through the 2 loops. And slip stitch. We make another chain 1, and then we can cut the yarn and pull the yarn through, secure the knot, and here we go. Now we have to make sure that the strap is in the same direction. Here we are. And now we can attach it to the bag. So you grab your yarn needle. And what we are going to do is that we are also going to incorporate this next blue back loop that we had here, mainly because we also finished it in that loop on the other side, so we can then incorporate it here as well. And then from here we go below in that first stitch from the other part of the strap, just like this, and then we go back up into that next stitch, and then from the bottom and the next one down here, then again from the top in our next stitch, and we do that all the way through. Here we have the last stitches on both sides. What I'm going to do is to drag on the yarn to close everything off. And you want to make sure that you also got the first one, so you can always then push or pull here on those loops if you didn't get it in the first place, and then drag on it again to close it. And now we can grab the yarn again, because of course we have to go through that next blue loop to incorporate it and to close everything up. And then we go in that last stitch and from there also in the top. And now we still have both of the loops, and we make it easy. We just make a knot, a double knot to secure everything in here, and then we can basically hide and sew in those yarn ends all at once. I will only go through it one time. This should be enough. And let's see, we go somewhere in here. For example, make sure to push on those or push through those loops a little bit. And that should already do the trick. And we can cut it. The strap is attached on both sides. Close it. And the bag is finished. Basically, now you can already see that by this depth of the bag or the width. Of course, now it's also empty. When you would then put, I don't know, your wallet or your car keys and whatever in it, it of course will fill up a little bit. You also have the view to the inside. It's like a look into the rainbow, basically. And to finish everything, I will show you a final trick that avoids that the side panels stick out too much, like I have it here. I mean, it's still okay. It's a bit pouchy, which is fine, but sometimes you prefer a more clean look with straight edges, and you could have the straight edges by just having some sort of a streamline or a little border in there that holds everything more together. And a bit like this. So you have the front completely with your rainbow granny square, but I will show you in a sec my little trick to do that, and also something that prevents the bag from deforming once you use it a few times. The yarn still moves and goes into its place, and which is something that a lot of people don't tell you. They show you a beautiful bag, and then you feel like, and yet then you do it, and then you wear it a few hours, and then the bag doesn't look as good as it looked before. So here will come a little trick on how to basically frame your work. So here's the little trick to fix the bag when it's too wobbly or too pouchy. What we want to do is basically hide our center strand here. As you can see, we have the 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we just want to remove basically the middle one by pushing those two more together like this. Now we could do so by just making a slip stitch around it in the front, but I think it's prettier when it's in the back of those two. So we try to find the one which is right here, basically, and we are going to flip our bag to the inside, or inside out, basically. And here we have it. It's right here. So grab a bit of yarn, go from the top into that, or from the front to the back in that space. And then we go to the next one. Now what we can do is to make a knot to secure our starting point, basically. You could even do a double knot. We'll then later on just sew that in. And then we go in the next one. Don't pull the yarn through just yet. And now we can go in there. We pull everything together. Make sure to hold it all a bit up. Don't pull it too tight. And now we are going from the top in that stitch again. To make a knot, and so that it stays right in that place. Then we go in the next one, Same thing. And back. And make a knot. And like that, you don't have like this wobbly effect anymore. It holds everything a bit more together, just like a frame on the inside. And like that, it's also invisible, so you don't see it later on. And if at some point you still want to make your bag a bit bigger, you can just cut that seam out. Now that I made a few rounds, when you then turn the work, you see you get like your work gets pushed in a bit more. To get a little bit of a cleaner edge right here versus the bulk that comes out on the other side. And like that, I think you can already see the difference. Here, there's no framing inside. And here we have the framing. And it just like bundles up everything a bit more towards the inside. And I will do that all around. And then we can finish everything off. And your bag is done. Okay, so now I reached the other side. And here you can see it's all framed now. And the other good thing is that we can now easily hide our yarn in that part of the bag that we framed, basically. And we can then simply just go through the yarn and then we go back. Only a few stitches. It won't let me, but that's all right. And then we can just cut the yarn. And we do that from the beginning as and here we go turn your bag. And here we go. It's like a sandwich. Basically. And it will still move. It will never be like that. You will only see the front part and not the side part. If you want to have it more invisible, you would probably have to use the same color like you used for the outer frame of your bag. But like that, your little pride bag or pride pouch is done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful little pride bag with me. And we both wish you a wonderful Pride Month. Make sure to party, to celebrate life, and we hope to see you back again very soon, only at the Totally Fierce Crochet channel. Bye!